start with today's session. So before starting, let us revise what we did yesterday. So yesterday we did what we did was we had a thought from requirements, and then from requirements we listed down the components, broke that into different parts, and then am I on mute? Let me check once more. No, okay. Okay, so I was talking about what we did yesterday. So we split that components into different parts, and then we listed down the functions, and then we put the functions inside the modules, and then we try to connect it. So the reason that we need to do the skeletal code first is because we're trying to do a top-down approach to the software building. So this gives us an idea about how we are progressing, and then also gives us confidence that anything that you put in functions into the modules, and you can expand the modules, and you can always run the main function, and then make sure that the things are not broken. So once we connect the dots, rest of the things, it gives us confidence to do the rest of the things. Okay, so it is called a skeletal code because it is just like to make any say for example, if you want to draw a human picture, or to do a sculpture of a human picture, it is not simply that you directly sketch out face and body, legs and things like that. So before that, artist studies what is inside, how the body structure is uh, uh, formed, and then he has to understand the bone structure first, and then he has to put on the muscles and then the skin. So if you follow this process, of course you can draw directly the human figure. The problem is, if there is a problem, say for example, one of the hands is bigger, and one of the legs is smaller. While drawing, you won't come to know, because you are very into the picture that you are drawing. You won't come to know about the mistakes that you do. Once you come out of that, maybe after a couple of days, you look back at your drawing, it looks like very skewed. Or if you show to some other person, he will say that okay, there is something missing here, but he won't be able to find. So this is an example how things can go wrong, because we get too much embedded into the thing that we are building. For example, if you to focus too much on web scraping first, and then if you focus too much on Excel manipulation first, it so happens that once you try to build this, and then connect the things, it becomes difficult, because you won't come to know, or it is what are the problems. You won't be able to differentiate the problems. That means where this particular problem is coming. So this is a simple example. We have a few modules. Say for example, if you have a multi-threaded system, or a multi-process system, or a distributed system, then it becomes really difficult to find out where the problem is coming from. So for that purpose, we need to go in stepwise fashion. So that is why we need to build the skeletal code first. So if in your companies, you might have seen that first the framework is built, and then the framework is then exposed of some APIs. Say for example, if you have different operating systems that your software runs, the first level that people do is they build a layer which abstracts the operating system calls, such as opening a file, and getting important statistics and things like that. And then it will be exposed to developers, and the developers don't have to worry about the framework. So once they have this basic flow, it is confirming that okay, the things are working fine. So that is why we do the skeletal code first, and then put in the muscles and all these things later, which is the next easy part. Okay. So that is about skeletal code, the connecting dots. Yesterday we did a small example. So we faced a problem. So while coding, we had to look at the traceback properly. Yesterday, I missed one of the lines in the traceback, so that is why I was not able to find it quickly. So such mistakes can happen. Keep that in mind. And then we also drew a flow diagram. So flow diagram gives us a formal idea about how the function is getting called. So this is actually a simple component diagram that we drew before, but it has a formal way of presentation. That's all. Okay. So that is about it, and let us get into one of the modules. So one of the modules is about getting news from uh, website. So what I have done is, so it takes some time to write code. So I have written the code for one of the websites, and then I'll explain to you how the things work. And then code is actually the easy part. First we have to figure out what are we doing and how things are structured, and how we need to get inside those structures and manipulate the data structures inside that. So once we understand this, then we can jump into coding. Okay. So so let's start with web scraping basics. So what is web scraping? Web scraping is nothing but usually when we try to browse something on a web, say you want to read news, or you want to read some blog, or anything. So you go to that website, and then you read it through manually. So if you want to collect some information, what you do is you right click and copy that particular text or table, whatever it is there, and then copy into your notepad or Excel sheet, and then you make a data out of it. Some sensible data which is useful for you. Say for example, if you are writing a research journal, or if you are doing your student project, or any statistics that you are collecting, you'll go to websites and collect information, and then aggregate it in some form, say PPT or PDF or Excel sheet, whatever it is. So the input is coming from a website. So we need to understand how the websites work first. So we need to understand websites, how the websites work, what is the background or backend structure of that, and then we need to collect the data. So instead of visiting so browser is one of the ways to collect the data from websites. So let us try to understand what are web pages, and let's try to understand what are the page formats. Okay. So how it is done. Okay. So let me just get into drawing mode. Screenshot. Alright. So how the web pages work. So first thing that you will be doing is, there is a browser. So browser has something, a text box to type your URL, www something, and then this is your PC. So what is the essence of web pages or the internet is that you have so let us get back to very basics. So very basics is you have RAM, and you have hard disk, and you have the entire PC, CPU, and all those things. So from here, this is RAM, and this is hard disk. Okay. So this is your system. Say for example, if you want to transfer data from your system to another system, what will you typically do? Maybe you take a pen drive, and without internet, you take a pen drive and put it onto the other system. Okay. This is manual way. So if you want to do transfer from PC to PC without using pen drives, what you'll do is one of the other ways. If the computer is next to you, or if it's in the same LAN, maybe you right click that particular folder in the hard disk and share it. So once it's shared, what happens? Others who are connected to that LAN, can access that. So this is that was first, and this is second way of doing that. So what you're essentially trying to do is, you're trying to collect access data from another computer. So the problems that here we face is that there is no you cannot control how much data that user can use. For example, this could be your all medical data which is in a Excel sheet. So if you simply share, what happens is maybe one person only needs a few of the rows, or few of the columns, or a couple of Excel sheets. So he will be having access to the entire Excel sheet instead of only those rows. So now you have user authentication problem, and anybody else can, whoever is connected to this LAN is able to look at your files and collect all the data. So these are the problems. So next, so to avoid all this, so next step was to have a controlled way of sharing data. So that controlled way of sharing data is nothing but how we you make use of web servers. So you might have heard about Apache, Tomcat, and Nginx, and all these things. So what it does is, these servers try to expose a port outside your PC, a port to be connected, and on your hard disk you can instead of hard disk, in order to have a controlled way of selective data sharing, instead of hard disk, now we can evolve into a database. So now we will have a database. The reason that we need to have a database is you can control a lot of things. Who can access that, how much he can access, what rows he has access to, what tables. So we will have organized, much more organized way, better than the simple file that is lying on the hard disk. So this database will be on a hard disk, and data that is to be shared will be exposed via a port. So how this port and this database is connected? So this is where our code comes in. Software code comes in and manages all these things. So this is typically called as model, view, and controller. So the GUI that you are using here on the other PC, let me change the color. GUI that you are using here on this, I can call this as host. Okay, this is a server. This is host means simply means PC. This is a server. So in order to access this, he will connect to this port, and then he will have a GUI which is particular, that will be hosted by this server. So this server, the software will be connected to Apache server or Nginx server or whatever. So it will be connected to this, and this will be having a port which is open, and then you can access via GUI. GUI code is also here. So once you click that website, what happens is the GUI code gets downloaded here. So that will be in your cache or cookies or someplace. So all your JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, all these called as static files. So maybe you, while browsing, you might have come across this static files and dynamic files. So this will be downloaded at the GUI first, and then this will facilitate how you interact with the database in the background. So it is not necessary that we always have database. Sometimes what happens is you can also generate static web pages. Static web pages, in the sense the web page is already there. You simply host it on here. Such thing, say for example, if you want to share your resume on a website, so you simply make a website which has your resume, and it won't change frequently, and that is a static web page. So how do you serve, and how does the web server understand the format, is what we need to learn. So this is all the circus that we are doing just to access the data from another computer. So web pages can be generated dynamically as well as statically. So dynamically, how do you generate? For example, if you subscribe to a certain blog or something, so it will send back a mail saying that, okay, hi, and your name, and then your particular content, and then it will give your content, and then it will send a mail. So how does it know your name and all these things? So these are stored as variables, and then the web page automatically has generated. So such things are called as dynamically generated websites. So we can generate websites dynamically as well. So the thing that happens here in the back end is all the overall idea is to serve this host of data what it is expecting. So once we have this, so what is the format? How does this computer and this computer talk? So in the previous class we saw that we had a protocol stack here, which is nothing but hosted by server. So this protocol stack will be having your port level data, and then there is TCP, and then there is HTTP and all these things. So that is the reason that when you enter into web pages, there is HTTP. So it means that this is one of the ways to access the data from another PC. Okay, so HTTP is nothing but hypertext. What is it? Text some protocol. Okay, so okay, so that is not the only protocol that you can access. So there are you might have heard about FTP, which is file transfer protocol, and there is also telnet to log into another system, SSH to log into another system. So these are so various other this is transfer protocol. So similarly there is HTTP and HTTPS. So S means secured web pages. So, so why it is called as secured? That is because it uses public key and private key for encryption. So your data won't be visible to outside world. That means in the internet world, anybody can read the packets actually. So if you if you have a Wi-Fi, and then if you are browsing something, if it is not encrypted, I can simply plug in my PC, and then I can collect the data that is coming in from the Wi-Fi device, and then see all the data easily if it is not HTTPS, if it is not secured. So coming back to the scraping, so what are we essentially trying to do? We are trying to access the data that is served on the other side of the fence. So this is internet, the total. So this will be accessed here. So let me just erase all this and come back to web pages. So how does this HTTP understand the data that is sent from the server? So one of the classes I was showing you. So I was showing the source of a website. So let us look at some website. So for example, Deccan Herald. So this is the website that we are going to scrape. So I'll just show this. Of course, you can do this with any website. So this is the website. So we have a nice structure here. So let me open a wiki page. Wiki code. Because wiki page won't have some ads and stuff like this, so that will be much simpler. But we'll look at both of them. So you can see here that there are a lot of requests that is going on here. Okay, so So this is a website. So the browser has, as I was talking, the browser at one end has a protocol stack. That means it is able to understand the data that is sent by the server, Wikipedia server. So let me just show you what happens in the background. So if you go to inspect mode, so you can right click and go to inspect and check the see the inspect. So if you go to inspect mode, you can see that I'll just enlarge this. You can see a lot of things here, what is happening in the background. So this is the website, and in this website, if you go to this network tab, and if you click on the network tab, so this is a protocol. So the URL is this. So this is what we clicked, and then the request method is get. Get is nothing but, so in order to access the data from the backend, that is database, in the other side of the world, that is here we are accessing data from Wikipedia. So Wikipedia has a lot of servers. So one of the servers contain this particular data. So you need to specify what is the operation. So this is like an API, and then you have to tell what is the operation that you need to do. So this is get. Get means only to read. So finally there are only two basic operations, that is one is read and one is write. So either you can write to a file or you can read. So on top of this, you can do other operations, such as you can update a database. For example, if you have a student database, say his current age is 18. So in the next class, if you want to update the age, you can manually update it to 19. So that is an example of updating. But if you want to add, say, add a row, so that has a different what do you call command. So this command or the method. So this is the URL. On top of this URL, do this operations. So that is what it says. And the status code, we saw this in a request module that we were studying. So you might have seen that the response code was 200. 200 means it is okay. So all this kind of protocol is built around it, and then you can see the headers. You don't have to worry about these headers unless you are going to do something specific into response headers. So it will have this kind of structure, and then you can see that you can see the response as well. So complete response, you see that it is coming as a JSON here. Okay. So in fact, if you you can download this JSON and then simply display it. But this website has a way to display it in this format. So if you look at the page source in the backend, that means we without browser we can simply access the data that is from the server. So browser is one of the ways to access. So the browser is built for the masses. That means you don't need to worry about how it is in the background and things like that. So this is how the actual website is formed, or this is the content of the actual website. So the web browser takes this content and formats into this beautiful structure. So this is how the websites work. So you need a browser. So this is in this format because we have moved from textbooks or any reference books. Such books have this kind of structure. So since we are used to that, so we are just imitating that sort of data. So from childhood, if we were programmed to read this kind of data, so this would be relevant. So that is how that is why the website is formatted like this. Okay. So that is about how the websites actually look and how it is presented. So presentation is taken care by the web browser. So in our task, we need to worry about the presentation. That is because we are going to extract specific things. Say for example, I want to get all the links that is referenced in this website. So I can go to all the hyperlinks. So all the hyperlinks I can get hold of it. So I'm extracting a specific data from this website. So you can do that. So that is one of the examples. So there are several examples. So let us look at just look at Deccan Herald, because we are going to work on news. So our intention is to, so there are a lot of news here. There is COVID news, and there is IPL news, and there are so many news. So what we are trying to do is, out of all this news, we are going to filter only the COVID news, and we are going to collect that. Our final intention is to keep that in a mail. So we are going to send that into a content of the mail. So let us go into look at page source, how it is formed. So if you look at the source, so you can look at that. So there is some kind of tagging here, and there is some kind of scripts, all the tags. So these are the patterns that you can look for. So there is also some code. So this code is actually a JavaScript. So web browser understands only few things. One is HTML, second is JavaScript, third is CSS. CSS is for it is called as cascading style sheets. So that is the one which makes website beautiful. For example, if you want to scroll to something something nice, and dashboard and stuff like that. So there are several excuse me, there are several things that happens in CSS. So web browser understands only three things: JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So out of this, I need to play around with this and try to contact the server, and then put the data into the HTML, and then I need to form this. So let us look at, my intention is to find out the COVID related news. So how would I find out COVID related news here? So I'm going to search COVID-19. So you can see that there are 92 searches, but I am interested only in few things. So that is because, so the thing that is displayed here is your website, and also it has ability to redirect into some other resource, that is some other web page. So if I click on this news, it will go to another page. So for us it looks simple. In the backend, what is happening is this link is redirected to another link, and at the server level it gets a new request, and it gets a HTTP GET request, and then server knows, okay, this resource or this content is in this part of the computer. Maybe it is stored as a database or on hard disk, any file or anything. So it doesn't matter how it is stored in backend. So it is the server's job to serve that content, and it's the backend code's job to control what needs to be served. So backend code fetches the data from the source, and then it gives the data. So that is how this website works. So you click a link, and this opens. So my intention is to find out the news, and then without even clicking this, I need to write code to get into this this link, and then extract some content out of this. So let me try to get content of this particular link. So before that, we'll just try to understand the HTML structure and what is the process that we are going to do. So we just looked at how HTML is formed, and how it looks in the background. So we'll try to dissect it more. Okay. So we looked at what are web pages, and we'll try to understand the page format. So, okay, this is the part we are focusing, and this is the process that we are going to follow. Okay, so first thing, we need to download the page. That is what browser does. So that is what we right click and serve the view source code of the HTML content. So once you download the page, the next thing is we need to parse. So browser does the parsing in a certain way to display everything. So we need to specifically parse out only few of the things. That is, we are interested in COVID-19 or coronavirus or such keywords. So we are going to search for those keywords, and we are going to parse the HTML. The reason that we need to parse the HTML is it has a certain structure. So we saw about JSON and we saw about XML. This is very similar to XML. In fact, XML is extended version of HTML. We'll look at the structure in a while. So, and then we extract a particular thing, and then we can transform that data into anything that we need. So in our example, we are going to transfer that into an Excel sheet. So first thing is to get the news and put it in a certain format, maybe in a dictionary. So in a dictionary it has a headline, and maybe it has some text which points to that, so it has some content. So these are the four steps that we need to do. So download the page, parse the content, extract some information, and then we are going to transform into any other format. Maybe you can make a HTML out of a CSV or whatever it is. So in our example, we are just going to convert it into Excel sheet. So that we'll do it later, but first we'll manage to get the data into a dictionary. Okay, from there it's quite simple. Okay, so let me just get into drawing mode. Okay. So we saw in one of the classes that we had seen about the data interchange format. Okay, so one of the ways to why do we need the data interchange format? That is because there is a resource in another computer. So that resource needs to be communicated to one of the computers that need that data. So that is served as a text file. So it is difficult to send the memory dump, or it is difficult to send all the contents of RAM, but we can send it in a human readable format, and also machines can make use of that. So this is a complete picture of how the tree structure is formed in HTML. This is also true for XML. So we saw in XML it was just like there was a root node, and then in the root node there were few tags, tag 1, tag 2, and then under that you can have subtags, tag 3 and tag 4. This is exactly same. The difference between HTML and XML is that all these tags, these are called tags, which are enclosed with these braces, greater than and lesser than symbols. So these are called tags. So in XML we can extend it. That means user can define his own tags. Say for example, in our old example, we declare our own tag called as state, or something like district, and maybe here we put something like district data, and in the root it had simply XML. Okay. So similarly in HTML it is predefined. It is predefined because these are similar to keywords in our Python language. Say for example, keywords are like if, else, and then def, class. All these are keywords. Similarly, HTML has certain keywords. So those keywords are called as tags in this context. So these are fixed. So you cannot change this. So the reason that you cannot change this is because browser needs to understand how to make use of these tags and display. So this is a tree structure. So this is just rotated 90 degrees, that's all. So you have a root node, and then root node has a children node, so that is head, and body. Head is nothing but the nothing but the headers that you see in the websites, that big title and things like that. So that is denoted by title. So title has a text. So typically you have a tag, opening tag, and then you have a closing tag. So it is denoted by slash, forward slash, and then here is your content. So in order to extract this, we need to tell that okay, this particular content belongs to this tag. So that is how web browsers understand, and then it puts the data in a certain format, that is in a human readable format. So it beautifies it on the browser. So in order to get to our data, say for example, I want to extract this my title. So I want to extract this particular title. So in order to do that, what should I do? I should write a loop. Let us try to do it in a crude way, and then we'll understand how the libraries help us. Okay. So in order to get this, what do? It's like you enter into your okay. It's like finding your mobile on your table. So you know that you left your mobile on the table. So to find that, you enter your home. So you go into your drawing room. From there you go to your bedroom, and then you go near your bed or whatever. So and then you find a table there, and then on top of that you got your mobile. Similarly, you need to traverse through the nodes. So internally, this data structure is using something called as tree data structure. So these are nodes, and the reason that we use tree data structure is because it is easy to traverse, and the time complexity. So one of the classes we are discussing about time complexity. Say for example, if you keep everything in a simple list instead of a tree. So if you have your mobile phone here, you have to come across all the data, and then go to the get your mobile. But if you organize it in tree format, so you automatically eliminate other rooms. For example, this belongs to kitchen, so you don't go to kitchen. You automatically eliminate it once you enter your bedroom. So you don't go to the wardrobe and search for the mobile. So you automatically eliminate all the searches that are around this. So elimination of searches happens automatically when you use tree format. So that is why this is optimal. So that is why this data structure is used in HTML. Okay. So that is about the structure of the data. So let us try to get a particular data in a website. So in order to get this here in the code, what you should be doing is you should write a for loop, and then loop through all the first level nodes, that is HTML, and then the second level nodes, and then the next level nodes. So let me just change the color. This is first level and second level, and then these are the nodes at level 3. Okay. So in order to get here, you know that I just need to go here, go here, go here, and go here. So instead of going to all the nodes, say here there are like maybe 15 nodes. Instead of going to 15 nodes or 15 steps, you are getting this in only 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's only 3 steps. So you eliminate all the rest of the steps. So that is how this tree structure is formed. So in order to do that, you write a for loop, and then inside that for loop you get only the required node, and then again a for loop. So this is one of the crude ways to get the data. So we have a lot of libraries which can do this for us. So one of the libraries is called as in XML. There is XML tree library, and then there is LXML. So there are a lot of libraries, but the total idea of any library, a given library, is just to traverse through the nodes and get the data out of it. Okay. So let us go back to the website. Okay. So let me try to get into this particular node. So in web scraping, the main problem that you face is that, so why web scraping is always hot thing, is because uh, if you need to scrape a website, there is uh, every website is designed in its own fashion. That means there is no certain structure. So Deccan Herald has its own way, and then if you look at the Hindu, it will have its own way to show the structure, and then all the news has its own structure. So you cannot reuse the code that is written to scrape a particular website uh, to another website. So you can use some frameworks which does some of the parts, common parts, but it is difficult to say that okay, once you tailor a certain code for to extract the news content from certain website, you cannot use the same thing to other website. So that is the challenge here, and that is why the web scraping technologies or the business is always there. So say for example, you can simply get all the news and write your own blog and automatically generate the blogs every day. So you don't have to even write any blogs for your own thing. So if you see some of the LinkedIn posts, so some of them will be there are intelligence bots which will collect some articles, and then it will just automatically write a blog, and there is no human involved there. So there are a lot of things that is happening in web scraping. So automatically they scrape the website and then they display the data. In fact, Google is one of the largest web scraping company. So once you search something like COVID or something like this, so it gives all the searches here. So that is because it has already searched a lot of websites in the background. So how do they scrape the websites? They have thousands or millions of CPs already. So it's like we have one laptop on our table, but they will have so many computers that are put on acres of lands. So all of them will be trying to read through all the websites that are in the world. So it will just try to consume that, and then it will build its own structure in the background. So you can even see its page source, and then you can see what is the content of that. So it will prepare the data like this, and it will display all the news. So that is one of the largest companies which does web scraping. So but it does not give you specific things. Say for example, if you want to specifically extract the journals and put into your new journal, it won't help. It will give the results, but all the things that you need to do, you have to write code for that. Excuse me. So let's look at the structure. So I have analyzed this structure already, and then I'm trying to extract this news, and then I'll automatically jump to this page without the browser, and then I'm going to extract the news out of it. So I'll just show the code, because it's difficult to write this in live session because it takes a lot of time. So I have written this already. First I'll just excuse me. PC slow. Okay, great. So okay, yesterday we had this interface file. This is our nodes, basic nodes, and we are focusing on this part. All right. So I'll just close this. Okay. So we wrote a function called as get news, and in that get news we plugged it into the report here. So you don't need to worry about the flow now. That is because this is an independent module. Okay, so we are doing this part. Okay, So we will jump into this folder, and then instead we formed this file, and we simply had one line here. So I have added more lines. So I have written a function called as create Deccan Herald. So there are multiple websites you can scrap the websites. So right now it's only Deccan Herald. I'll just show the code, and then let's go through the code and understand. So code is actually simple. There are only few lines. Okay. So this is all it takes to extract the news. Okay. So this is not done using using for loops to jump into the content. So what we can also do is we saw the nodes. Say for example, level 3 nodes. If you want to get all the level 3 nodes, there are libraries which can give you automatically all the level 3 nodes. So such things are done by libraries. So one of the libraries that we are using here is called as Beautiful Soup. So this Beautiful Soup is a part of BS4 library. So it's called as BS4. So you can simply pip install BS4. So it will install the library, and then you can just import it like this. I'll share this code. You can make use of it. And once you import it, all the you need to create a object out of the class. So that is done here. So we'll go line by line and just get into drawing mode. Okay. So now we have clarity and uh, about how the data is organized and how do we extract the data. That is, now we have some HTML content, and then we have some nodes in that, n1 n2 like this. Inside those nodes again there are sub nodes. So somewhere there will be a particular node which contains our COVID news data. So you don't actually need to know where it is located. So because there are libraries which can automatically give this particular extract all the nodes. In fact, it can traverse through all the nodes and find the data that you are searching for. So that is what we are doing. So let me just erase this part. So let me show you. No, I think we have seen that before. So let me show you on the terminal how it looks. So we had sent data something like. So we'll get in terminal and we'll shoot the URL. So I'll just import requests. So I'm just going to copy these two lines. So I need to indent it. So indent this. This is just a variable. And then page is equal to requests. Copy this. Page. Okay. So yesterday we had sent request.get. This URL was a URL which was extracting a JSON. So for sure we knew that website, instead of HTML, it gives us JSON. So that's how we converted that into a dictionary. But here in our case, in today's case, it is not just JSON, it is a HTML. So you cannot convert that into JSON. So let us look at the page. So page is of type. So it's a type of response. So let's look at page. And then we saw this even in one of the previous classes. So let us look at the page. So if I want to see all the contents, so this content is nothing but what we did while inspecting the page. Say for example here we were looking at this part, this response. So these are the headers. This is the status code. That status code is nothing but the same status code that you are seeing here. So that is programmed. Once you type this page, that is programmed to return that. So you can, in fact, you can say page is an object now. You can look at the status code. Let me just take this. And if you look at this status code, it is 200. This is exactly what is here. So it will be embedded inside a certain protocol. That protocol is written here in the browser as well as in this request library. So similar code. So let us look at the content. I'll just type text. So this content is exactly the same content that we saw here. This content. So that is put on a browser, but we have successfully pulled the data and put it in a variable, in an object. That's all. So that means this data is actually sitting in the Deccan Herald server, and we have just pulled that data. Okay. So let us try to understand this now. Line by line. Okay. So you can do. This won't work. I need to import. Let me just import it here, so that once we pass a couple of lines, that will be useful for us. We look at this program now. So this is an object. This is a class written inside the library, beautiful SOAP library. What we are sending is page.content. It is same thing as similar to the text. There is an attribute inside the page which passes the content to beautiful soup, and what it takes as an input is it takes the parser type. So you can, in fact, there are several parsers. So one of the parsers that parses the HTML is HTML.parser. So you need to specify the parser. So it takes the content and it tells what is the internal library or what is the parser that you need to extract this data. So let us try to execute this. Let us look at the soup. Soup gives us the same content now, but soup has one more internally. It has structured the data. That means from the text data it has converted that into this structure. This is also called as document object model, because this has a certain structure in order to extract particular data. So once we have this, now soup has, you can do, I was telling you that you can search all the nodes and get all the nodes easily. So one of the things that you can do is this. I'll just import RE because I'm using a regular expression here. So one of the uses of regular expression. So once I have this, so you can look at, I'll just store this in a variable. You can look at one of the elements. So it has successfully extracted all the HREFs. That HREFs are nothing but hyperlinks. So all the links that you click on a website are called as hyperlinks. So that is that has a keyword called as href. So this is what is href. That means you can simply click on this. So you can see that there is no HTML here. So because this will automatically concatenate with the base URL and then it will send it. Okay. So this is how it looks. So if you look at all the URLs, let's take as 23 some URLs. So there are how many URLs are present now? You can simply, so there are 38 URLs that has COVID news. So you can verify that on the web page as well. So these are the these are the nodes that are containing the data. So if you look at type X of It is telling that this is element of bs element dot tag. That means this is of that particular class. So inside this you can of course see what are the other um, operations that you can look inside that. Okay, so you can you, you can do a lot of things, like you can take each of this and experiment with all these things. Okay, but okay, that is about briefly about how we can use the library and extract all the similar sounding data, or you can search all the nodes and get the data into this into list of urls. So for in our example, I'm only interested to extract the urls. Okay, so that is about this. So let me just get into, so once you understand it, the rest of the things is quite simple. So I'll take a couple of minutes more. So what essentially what we are trying to do, so this we looked at this part. So this is just uh, getting the data, get html content in text. Okay, get html data, and then here what we're trying to do is extracting all the nodes. So we had a tree like this. So in this several trees, you don't need to know the complete tree structure. So what you need to know is, okay, there are some nodes where I have some data. Say for example, at this level there is COVID data, at this level there is COVID data, and this level there is COVID data. So other nodes may be having some other content, maybe something related to Sanjay Dutt's cancer news, or something related to the Bangalore riots, something like that. So some other news. So we are not interested in those nodes. So we will just extract the nodes containing the COVID news. So that is our um, the third part. So first part is to get the data, HTML data. Second part is to parse the data. So getting all this and parsing is happening in one single line. You don't need to go line by line. So out of this, then I'm what I'm trying to do in the next urls is I'm going to go to that particular url. In fact, instead of clicking just similar to clicking, what you can do is you can extract that url. So once you get list of all the urls containing covid, you can jump to that url. So you can see that here I'm again sending a request. So what is the request that I'm sending? So in this particular example, we had a URL which was starting from slash and COVID, some COVID news, something .x.html. Okay. So this was the sub URL, and we need to concatenate with this main URL. Uh, so we just add those two strings, and then you get the sub page, and then you do the same thing again. So you send it to Beautiful Soup, you extract the news, and again, so the news that is sitting inside those particular pages is inside this particular node. Okay, so if you copy this and go here, you can look at this, and you can see that the so I have gone to a link which contains this news. That means first step is to go to that website. Okay, I went to that website. Now I need to go to a certain link, one of the links. So I clicked on that link, and out of this link I'm looking at the page source, and inside that page source, the reason that I'm doing this is because so the news content is sitting inside this node. So in the tree structure there is a node called a script, and inside that script there are several nodes called script, and then one of the types is this node, and then you get all the nodes. So that we'll just see here. So if you look at this, you can see that I'm actually trying to extract the news from this script, news content, article 1, where is the news article? Headline. Okay, let me see the contents here first. That news content is in this particular node, and then I can go through that and then get the news. So just let me just run it once and see the content. So it's running in the background. So whatever we are doing here, it is running in the background. So let's print it. So it may also happen that Deccan Herald developers or the software engineers working there, they might change the structure in some time, and this won't work. So that is these are the challenges of these websites. So let me just get into one of the links. Open. So that is what we just do. So we get that node and we traverse through that, and then we just update our temporary data structure. So here the intention is to correct this in a dictionary. Dictionary will contain the hyperlink and the news text. So I just wanted to show you the text. It's taking